Now, for more on China's efforts to reform its financial sector, let's bring in Sara Hsu. She's an associate professor of economics at the State University of New York, New Paltz. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Rachelle.
So, Sara, in your view, what do you think have been the most important milestones in China's financial reforms over the last 5 years?
Well, I think certainly China's currency being added to the IMF SDR basket of currencies has been very important. The Shanghai Hong Kong Stock Connect and the Shenzhen Hong Kong Stock Connect have also been important. And so we've seen some movements forward. We've also seen some movements backward a little bit as China has tried to stabilize its financial markets.
So let's break down some of these issues, starting with some of the exponential growth that we've seen in the financial technology or fintech sector. Now, some experts say the country is poised to leapfrog developed nations and really become this digital financial marketplace. But what are the pros and cons that come with that?
Right, so this is very true. So in speaking with various CEOs of fintech companies, such as the CEO of CreditEase, they have improved their lending to people who are poorer and who previously have not been able to obtain loans from banks. But at the same time, there are risks connected with this. And so there are some companies that are up and coming that aren't necessarily as regulated or as stringent in terms of their business practices as companies like CreditEase have been.
So break that down for us then. What are some of the challenges that this rapid growth of fintech is posing to regulators?
Well, the number of companies and the different areas in which these companies are developing are really broad and numerous. And so some of the challenges include understanding the risk, period. So understanding whether a company is engaging in a practice that is risky, whether they are knowing their customer, whether they're paying due diligence to understand the projects that they're extending credit for. And we saw recently China's crackdown on the initial coin offerings, which will prevent companies from raising funds in terms of cryptocurrencies online. And that's going to be provide a slowdown to the fintech sector.
Now, something else that always makes the headlines is this issue of debt. How is China addressing concerns over rising corporate and household debt levels?
Right. So we see increasing household debt. The PBOC Governor Zhou has just recently warned about increasing mortgage debt and very short-term loans to households. We see the household lending increasing far more than the household income is increasing, which presents a very difficult threat. And we also see some issues with the corporate debt rising. Right now, it's currently at 165%. A lot of the corporate debt is due to state-owned enterprise debt, which the government is trying to rein in through conversion of debt to equity and through potential IPOs. But this does present a threat to future growth.
So as we look ahead then, how do you think that the businesses, both domestically and abroad, are viewing some of the financial reforms that they're seeing in China?
Well, I think that they're very cautious. We're looking to see what happens as a result of the 19th Party Congress. I think that it's a given that President Xi Jinping will remain the president going forward, and he's been relatively cautious in terms of financial reforms. He did state that he would be committed to financial reforms going forward in his address to the Party Congress, as well as to stabilizing financial risk. But I think that the biggest focus right now is going to be on stabilizing risk.
And to that point, we know that the CRBC mentioned that it wanted to keep an eye on wealth management, interbank transactions, and off-balance sheet activities in order to try and curb some of these risks. What measures are being put in place to curtail some of these associated risks?
So many measures have been implemented by the new chairman of the CBRC, and the banks are being fined for not implementing some of these measures. So we do see a halt in related party transactions, a halt in off-balance sheet transactions, and many other measures. This is having the effect of kind of increasing the credit tightening of the interbank markets, as well as of the small banks which have relied on this type of lending.
Well, thank you as always for your insights, Sara Hsu, Associate Professor of Economics at the State University of New York, New Paltz.